Hey everybody, it's Josh Alexander, and this is your Orange County housing market update for the month of June 2020. So let's get into it. Okay, so today's episode is going to be relatively quick, and the reason for that is that I've basically been saying the same thing for the last 2 months straight now, and that is demand is continuing to increase significantly every single week, while supply has remained at historic lows. So every week that's been going by, we're moving farther and farther into a seller's market. So in Southern California in general, right now, supply is at a 7-year low. So it hasn't been this low in June since 2013. Demand, on the other hand, by the end of the week or early next week, I expect to also be at a 7-year high. And that's basically going to put us in a hot seller's market. In fact, the hottest seller's market that we've seen since 2013. So if you're a seller, you've been thinking of selling, right now you need to get your home on the market because these type of markets don't come that often when you have such a significant advantage over the buyer because supply is so low while demand is so extremely high. So a few of the data points, and if you've watched my show before, you like to know that I like to use data. Mortgage applications have been going up for 9 weeks straight now. So over and over again, we're seeing buyers entering the market, putting that mortgage application, getting their loan ready so they're ready to purchase a home when the right property comes up because they want to take advantage of these historic low interest rates. They're still hovering in the low 3%, and that's something that you don't see very often. And every single week, you're seeing something in the news with new low interest rates, historic low interest rates, lowest interest rates ever, and that's because interest rates have been extremely low for 2 months now, which is encouraging a lot of those buyers that have been sitting on the fence to get into the market to try to take advantage of it because buyers' money has never gone farther when you're looking at these type of interest rates. Now, another thing I look at is the showing time data, and what that is, it's something I've used before on past episodes, but when realtors go to show a property, they have those electronic lock boxes now. Every time someone goes in and uses one, it gets logged. And when you look at the data compared to last year, we're having 31, almost 32% more showings this year than we did last June. And so it shows you how significant the demand is compared to supply, which is at historic lows right now, which is why we're in such a hot seller's market. Now in Orange County specifically, supply has actually gone down 2% over the last week. So every time a house hits the market, you have so many buyers looking at it that it's coming right back off again, and the amount of homes hitting the market just can't keep up with the demand right now, which is why you see those numbers go down. On the other hand, demand has gone up 24% over the last 2 weeks. So again, a good indication that we're moving farther and farther into a seller's market because demand has been going sky high for the last 2 months, while supply really hasn't been doing much. Okay, sellers, I said it a second ago, but I'm going to say it again. If you're planning on selling your house this year, you need to get it on the market if you can right now, because this type of market doesn't come along that often. 7 years ago was the last time the market was this hot, and it's hard to say how long it's going to last. So in a couple months, kids are going to start going back to school. That time of year, demand usually drops off, as well as soon as more and more sellers see all these multiple offers and homes selling above asking price, more and more of them are going to be more comfortable putting their homes on the market, as well as these restrictions are lifted and people get more comfortable going outside their house. So if you want to take advantage of this historic seller's market, you need to get your house on the market sooner rather than later before demand starts going down. Now, if you're concerned about the risks to you still with COVID-19, the good news is the industry has had a long time to adapt now. So we've kind of got all the practices down to keep yourself, keep the buyer safe, and a few of those things that you've probably heard about before are any buyer entering the house needs to wear a mask, have gloves on, hand sanitizer, shoe booties, and basically sign something saying that they're not sick before they even are allowed to go into your house. Now, on the other side of that, because the demand is so high right now, there are a lot of people putting in offers before they even go and look at the house because they can see a lot more things online. So if you're working with a good agent, normally a couple of years ago, even a few months ago, most agents are only posting 20, 30 pictures of the property and relying on open houses and private showings to be able to sell the property. That's no longer the case. The good agents out there with a good marketing plan are not only putting pictures of the property, they're also doing videos of their house. They're doing 3D walkthroughs where the person can go through, click some buttons, spin 360 degrees in every room so they can see every corner of the room. And then the good agents are also doing virtual open houses, which sounds kind of weird, but the ones that I've done have actually been pretty successful. So you go into the house, you give anybody interested in looking at the property a link to click on. They can go in there, you can tour the house with them, answer any additional questions, and that also gives the buyer the opportunity to say, hey, I want to look in that garage, I want to look in the closet, things that you don't usually see on those virtual walkthroughs or the videos or the pictures when you're looking online the first time. So this gives the buyer more information about the property than they've ever had before to make a decision on which property they want to put an offer in. And because demand is so high right now, those buyers are putting offers in on houses and basically saying, hey, I like everything about this. I just want to go tour the house once I get into escrow just to verify everything's okay, everything matches my expectations. And if the agent's done a good job at making sure that they're giving the full story, as many pictures and videos as possible, those expectations usually match what the buyer is thinking when they walk through that property. And if you're able to do that, that's going to eliminate most buyers coming through your house. So that's really going to keep you safe by eliminating people coming in and out of your house. And you really only have to have 1 or 2 buyers, and then you will have to have an inspector, a photographer, and a few of those type of things. But in general, you only have a few people walking through your house, and that's going to keep you a lot safer. So that's something to think about if you're planning on selling your home, but you're still a little hesitant because of everything going on. The industry has really adapted to keep you as safe as possible. So if you want to learn more information about how that, you can always DM me or call or text me or email me, and I can give you some more detailed information on exactly how I go about that. But that's something that you can think of and really consider if you're kind of scared about putting it on the market because of everything going on. Okay, so buyers, if you haven't already turned this off because you don't want to hear any more about how it's a hot seller's market, there's still good news for you. And that good news is that interest rates are still at historic lows. So what does that mean? It means that for you, if you want to keep your mortgage payment the same, right now you can afford more home than any time in the past. So if you're looking at purchasing a home, now is not the time to take your foot off the gas pedal. The biggest thing for buyers right now is you need to have those expectations set so you know what you're walking into before you start placing offers on home. You need to know that if it's under $1 million and it's in decent condition, you're most likely going to be competing with other offers to get your offer accepted and into escrow. So if you have those expectations going forward, there's less of a chance of you getting disappointed and dropping out because you can't get that first offer accepted on the first home. You just need to have that expectation that you might have to put offers on 2, 3, 4, 5 homes before you get into escrow. So the hard part of that for buyers, and I know I've done this myself, is that you have to try to keep yourself emotionally detached from the home until at least you get your offer accepted, which I know is almost impossible to do because as soon as you start thinking about the house, you start picturing your family there, how you're going to arrange furniture, how you're going to make memories there, all that type of thing. It's extremely hard not to do that, but that's one thing you really want to try doing, is looking at it as a financial decision and not an emotional decision when you're placing offers on these homes, because that will help you basically stay in the game longer and not get disappointed and drop out when you don't get that first offer or even 2 or 3 offers accepted, because you know when you find the right place, you're going to be able to have a great home at an extremely low interest rate and have that locked in for 30 years. So as a buyer, you really want to have those expectations set, but on the other hand, you also want to make sure you're setting yourself up for success. And what that entails for you is if you haven't talked to a lender yet, you need to make sure that you're talking to a lender before you start the process. Because right now, with demand so high and with everything going on with COVID-19, a lot of sellers aren't even letting you in the house unless you have a pre-approval letter you can send them showing you that you can basically afford that property and you can get a loan for the property. So if you haven't already done so, you need to talk to a lender and have that ready to go before you start looking at properties. The other reason you need that is because homes are going on and off the market so quick now. It can go on the market on a Friday and it'll be in escrow on Monday. So if you don't have that already done, even if the seller isn't asking you to have that and present to you before you see the property, you have to have that when you're placing the offer. And if you don't have that, they're really not going to take your offer seriously. So you need to make sure that's already ready to go before you start looking for properties to give yourself the best shot at success. Something else you can look at, you can check out my past video on first-time home buyers that I just posted, and that gives you some other things you can do inside the offer besides the price to really put yourself above anybody else, because there's a lot of different situations where you can add different things into the contract that you're writing that's going to appeal to the seller, even if you don't have the highest price. So check that video or podcast out if you're listening to this in audio form to give you some advice on that. And if you have further questions, you can always contact me. But again, for buyers, as long as you have your expectations set and as long as you have that pre-approval letter, again, you'll be able to find the property eventually. You just have to make sure that you're taking your time and not getting disappointed if you don't get that first offer accepted. Okay, so the last thing I want to end on was a survey that was just released today by Realtor.com. And I've talked about this type of information again on my past episodes, but I want to bring it up because it's a new survey that, again, they're showing that a lot more online traffic is starting to be concentrated on those suburban areas versus urban areas. So a lot of people that have been stuck in those 1 or 2 bedroom apartments in the more compact cities are starting to look at expanding a little bit farther and saying, hey, because of the lockdown, maybe I do want a backyard. Maybe I do want an extra office space to be able to do some work in. And they're willing to compromise the driving time to be able to get that larger space. Another reason is these offices and these jobs that have been going more remote recently. If they're staying that way, it's giving those people opportunity to say, hey, I'm not commuting every single day to office back and forth. Maybe I have to go in once or twice a week or not at all. So why don't I save $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, and instead of living in the middle of Orange County, I can live someplace a little bit outside, commute very little, and have a much larger house and have that space to really spread out. So again, I've seen surveys that we talked about before from Redfin, we've talked about it from Zillow, but Realtor.com has also now come out with a survey saying the same thing. So this is really a trend that it's something you want to look at. As a buyer, it might be a good opportunity for you to buy in these areas because it looks like a lot of people are looking at that area. So there's a better chance of appreciation happening a little bit faster in those type of areas right now based on the data. If you're an investor, same thing. If you want to purchase a property, it'd be a good idea to look in those type of areas that are a little bit on the outskirts of the city right now, because they tend to be getting more attention online from these people looking to purchase homes. As a seller, if you live in one of those places, that's great news for you because it just means you're getting more traffic in that area. So again, I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it was an interesting point. So if you're seeing something similar from what you're looking at, if you're looking to move in, let me know. It'd be kind of interesting to see who is and who isn't actually looking to be able to go to more of a suburban area versus they might have been thinking an urban area before everything happened. So let me know in the comment section if that's something that you were considering or if you are considering, because I think it'd be interesting to know that information. Okay, so that's it for today. Sellers, if you've been thinking of putting your home on the market, you need to get your home on the market now. We haven't had this type of opportunity for sellers in 7 years. So if you're comfortable putting on the market, get it done as quick as you can before this demand starts to diminish as the months go on. So other than that, if nothing significant happens over the next couple of weeks, I'll have another update in July for you. Take care, stay safe, and hope to see you soon. Bye. If you found this podcast useful, please hit subscribe and leave a review below. I'd really appreciate it. And if you have any family or friends that want some more information about buying or selling a home, or just want to stay updated on the Orange County housing market, please share it with them. It'd mean the world to me. Thanks.